Hi, I'm Scott Preston, and you're watching a podcast where nostalgia comes alive. It's Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Roll it.
Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, where nostalgia comes alive. Join Jake and his friends on a journey through pop culture of the past, where they interview professionals in the worlds of acting, directing, writing, puppeteering, and so much more. Who will they be chatting with today? Find out in this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Happy here with us. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm your host, Jake Duffenbaugh. With me today, as always, our goes Chris Bixby. How's it going, my friend?
Doing good. Hello, everybody. How are you, Jake?
Doing great as always, Chris. Thank you for asking. And this episode is a lot of fun as always. I'm sure you guys will definitely know what the person has done over the years, and a lot of wonderful stuff and variety of things. But Chris, take it away. What do we have for today?
Yes, glad to, Jake. Thank you. So today we had the great pleasure of interviewing Ken Diego, director and associate director. He's worked on a whole bunch of different projects. For many years, he has directed and associate directed projects for Children's Television Workshop, now known as Sesame Workshop, starting off with projects like Square One TV and 321 Contact. And currently, since 1993, has been a director and associate director on Sesame Street for many episodes, home video specials, whole bunch of wonderful things for them. Live appearances, a planetarium show, which you'll uh you'll hear us talk about throughout this conversation. He's also worked on projects like Allegra's Window, The Wubbulous World of Dr. Seuss, Out of the Box, and has also associate directed the Tony Awards, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, the SpongeBob musical, a whole bunch of wonderful things. But let's not waste any more time. Enjoy our chat with Ken Diego.
Yeah, see you then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, the podcast where nostalgia comes alive.
Yes, today we're happy to have Ken Diego on the show. Ken, happy to have you here. How are you?
Good, I'm great. A little snow falling, probably a lot of shoveling later, but we'll see.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
There
I'm
you
glad to
go.
have you here.
Yes, indeed. So to kick this off, could you tell our audience a bit about yourself and what you do?
I am a director and associate director in television, multi-camera mostly. Um, I work on a variety of programming from Sesame Street and other family-oriented programs to live event programming. And I've had the good fortune to work on some big, excuse me, big award shows, which have been quite rewarding and fun to do, and concerts and that sort of thing. So 47 years in television.
Wow.
Who knew?
Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Sometimes just you never know what's gonna happen, and it's a whole
No,
journey I've had.
my life has been, you cross the stream by leaping from rock to rock, and I just kept
Yeah,
going from one rock to the next, and still crossing.
There you go. There you go.
yeah, that's wonderful. I'm kind of curious. Before getting to start directing professionally, what was your childhood like, and did you always want to work in television?
Uh, no, I mean, I was a fan of television back in the day. You know, 60 something years ago. TV was a little box. It was a big box with a small screen.
Yeah.
So
And like the and
you know,
like the and
you
like the little knob and like not a lot of channel
exactly,
stuff. Yeah.
and the rabbit ears TV.
Yeah, the
No
antenna,
cable.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
television was a
exactly.
curiosity. It was something my father watched to get the news every day. Walter Cronkite gave us the news, and he was, unimpeachable. Everything he said was researched and absolutely rock solid. And but that's what TV was. It was along with books and music and a lot of playing outside. Uh, TV occupied a smaller portion of our day, I would say. But I definitely was drawn to visual things. I am told that when I was very young that I would sit at a desk for hours and draw these panoramic scenes, a lot of times with stick figures, of battle scenes from the Civil War. But I,
Right.
stretch out multiple pieces of paper across a desk and just spend hours drawing hills and valleys and soldiers and whatever, cannon and so and that eventually led to an interest in photography,
Oh,
which
nice.
I pursued, as an
Okay.
amateur. And then when uh, I became sort of the yearbook photographer for my high school, and I covered sports events, and I learned how to process my own film and make my own prints. I had a little base room, dark room that my parents helped me set up, and from there, as I got into college, I went through a whole bunch of majors. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of felt like, if you're familiar with National Geographic magazine,
Yeah.
Yeah,
beautiful,
right.
Uh-huh.
beautiful magazine, beautiful visuals. A lot of times the reporter, they go out into the field for months at a time and research and write and take their own photos. And that's where I thought I was heading. Um, when I hit like junior year in college, and I took a multi-camera TV course, and something major happened to me. I was like, wow, this I love, and I got to do more of this. And I just switched my major into communications, and I took as many of those courses as I could. And one thing led to another, and I got myself an internship at Channel 13, and that sort of launched everything. So, I would say I was interested in the visual arts from early on, but it took many forms.
Oh, that's awesome. So now, what was your kind of first like professional directing job?
Uh, I was I came up through the ranks. I started as a production assistant and a researcher, uh, and as things progressed and I went from job to job, I really gravitated toward being in a control room. So in a multi-camera situation, you're usually in a control room or a control truck, and you have a wall filled with all the camera shots to choose from. And you're on headset and you're communicating with a crew, and you might have to keep the show to a certain length of time. So you're constantly adjusting time and adding uh, copy or cutting copy to keep
Right.
the performers, on schedule. So that led to an assistant director position, associate director, it's called. And then from there, after a few years of being an associate director, things started to open up. There was a need. I'm trying to think of the first time I directed was probably I was an AD, and the producer said to me, the director has to leave and travel somewhere. Can you stay and direct these promos for the show? So I did that, and that was kind of my first taste of directing, aside from any projects I had in college.
Right.
Professionally,
Yeah.
it was I started out at Nickelodeon. Actually, is where I got my first AD job,
Oh,
and
wow.
Nice.
Nickelodeon in version one of Nickelodeon. They're on to version three now. Version one, no commercials, all family programming. Uh, they weren't crazy about getting ratings as much as they, at the time, were part of Warner Amex, which was a cable service. And Warner Amex was trying to get into as many homes, get cable into as many homes as possible across the country. And they wanted to have a full collection of programming they could offer, from adult programming down to family and children's programming. So they were more interested in having programming than worrying about whether it got ratings, whether it sold commercial time, all of that. That was Nickelodeon version 1. So that's where I got my first chance directing small promos for a show I was working on at Nickelodeon.
Nice, nice.
Wonderful. It's great. So now, of course, now move on to Sesame Street wise. Of course, you got
Uh,
direct and associate direct,
yes.
for that show since 1993. Now, so now, how do you kind of got to land that job? Like how did all that come
Okay. So,
about?
wow. So um, my life has been or my career has been kind of if you imagine a giant tree with a lot of branches, uh, and I've been most of my work, 95% of it, I've been a freelancer, which means I join a project, I see it through to the end. When the project is complete, uh, congratulations, you've completed the project, and congratulations, you're out of work. So, you move on and you look for other projects, and hopefully you make a connection with somebody before that one project ends. And like a producer, for example, who if they like working with you, they like your work, they're going to go off to another project. Maybe they take you along. That's kind of how my path has been. So I'm going to say Nickelodeon led me to MTV, and I was part of the original crew on MTV. And
Hmm.
from MTV, it led me back to Channel 13 because somebody, when I worked there years before, remembered me and said, "Hey, could you join us to work on Nature?" Nature's a program that's still on the air. I was an
Right,
associate
yeah.
producer for Nature, and from Nature, I got an offer to work at Sesame Children's Television Workshop, which was
Yeah,
starting a new show, a new math show called Square One TV.
Right, yeah.
And
yeah,
I interviewed for that, and I got hired on that. But somebody remembered me and had recommended me and said, "Why don't you come over here? Our director is looking for an associate director, and we think he'd really like to work with you." So I had a really good interview. I got hired. So I did 5 seasons of Square One TV, which led to 2 seasons of 321 Contact, all at Children's Television Workshop, which became Sesame Workshop. And then that led to Sesame Street. So when 321 Contact finished up, uh, I was recommended over to Sesame Street. It was all in the same company.
Right.
And then I started to do some work there. And season 25 is when I started Sesame Street, and they were
yeah.
just expanding. They moved from a small studio in Manhattan to a big studio in Queens, where they doubled the size of their set. They had this whole section they called Around the Corner.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep, exactly. Uh-huh.
yeah, and they were adding characters, they added set, they were adding actors, they were adding human roles, and they were adding staff. So I got to go over there and join them for their first season in Queens, and it was amazing. But I didn't direct right away. Even though I had directed in the past, I accepted a job as an AD, and I split my time between the studio and the edit room. And that was my first experience with puppetry. So it really took, I'm going to say, 3 seasons for me to really get my head around how puppetry works and how
Yeah.
it's different to direct and shoot. So it
Hmm.
was after about that 3 years that they started to offer me episodes to direct. So, it was a convoluted path, a very squirrely path, but, I kept doing what I do and, just plodding along. And I definitely, I was enjoying everything I was doing. So it didn't matter, but then when it was offered to me, I was like, oh, well, yeah, I'll direct some episodes. So sure. But that was back when they did 115 episodes in a season.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Right. Yeah, there you go.
So there's my squirrely path to directing Sesame Street. It wasn't, interview, boom, here's the job. No, no. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this may be a tough question to answer, but do you have any favorite like Sesame Muppets that you've gotten to work with over the years?
It's a very tough question to answer because I do adore them all. But I guess from a directorial point of view, I enjoy working with the puppets and puppeteers that can do more things live without stopping tape and creating a special shot. So
Right.
that that lends me towards your handed puppets, Cookie Monster, Telly Monster, Ernie, puppets who have actual functioning hands,
Yeah.
and then they can do more things live, um, rather than having to stop tape. Do 2 or 3 lines, stop tape. I now the rotted puppets certainly can do a lot, especially with these puppeteers. These puppeteers at Sesame are all A-list, top notch, very
Oh
skilled.
yeah, they're
Um,
wonderful.
right, they are amazing, and and they've learned how to do a lot with even rotted puppets. But to me, there's nothing like working with the handed puppets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Those are all
Y-
wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed. So now I would transition into episodes wise, do you have any, favorite episodes that you got to
God.
direct over years with Sesame, at least that
I
if you
made
can
a little
remember,
I
of
made a little
course.
scratch list. Yeah, let's see. I mean, there's so many that I've been wonderful episodes I've been involved with, and a lot of them involve celebrities too. But
Right.
um, here's my short list here. Well, the Crummy Pictures presents.
Yeah.
I directed Les Miserables. I mean, it was called Les Miserables. It was food oriented, but it was
Right. Yeah. I remember
Okay.
a
that one.
spoof of Les Mis.
Yeah.
And oh man, it was so great. And I mean, it's all blue screen, but the animators from Nashville were phenomenal to work with, and we storyboarded everything, and the performances and the music was phenomenal. So that's one of my
Oh yeah.
favorites. Elmo the musical. There was an airline pilot, and we used
Right.
a small a model of a biplane. Again, green screen like crazy, but
Yeah.
um, again, same animators who were able to allow us camera moves where they could track the background and allow us moving shots, and they did amazing work on that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I might
I
remember
like
that too.
yeah, they were fun. Those Elmo the musical episodes were phenomenal. I directed a couple of Julia episodes. Meet Julia, the first time Julia was
Oh
introduced
yeah. Yeah. I remember
on
that.
Sesame.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And then Julia gets a haircut. That was, I have here, season 49. That was, and that involved not only shooting the scenes on set, but we did this whole backstage shoot in the makeup and hair area where we had her in various positions of getting her hair cut, and uh, we used our hair and makeup people. So that was fun. Um, what else do I have? There's in this season coming up that's just started to air now.
Yeah, 55, yeah.
Yeah, so I directed an episode called Abby's Garden Party, where we really turned the entire arbor into kind of a big flower show, and it
Oh,
was
cool.
very cool. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
okay. Wow.
Nice.
Look
um,
forward to check that out in the rest of the
yeah. It's
season, of course.
probably gonna air. It's towards the end, probably in the last week of that season,
Oh, okay.
which is only a 5 week season. So I don't know how far in they are
Right.
now. I think they're just starting,
Yeah, I
but
think
Yeah,
only
probably
the
in
yeah, it's
first
about
just the
three
episode's
first
out
weeks.
so far.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I directed years ago. I directed Zachary Levi as the kindness kid.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was
I
fun.
remember that.
That
Yeah.
was fun. way long time ago, season 41, I directed Jimmy Fallon as
Oh,
Wild Nature
yes.
Survival
Yeah.
Guy.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great
And that
one.
was
Yeah, it's so
literally,
great.
that was the week before he was starting his run on the
Uh,
Tonight Show.
oh
Oh,
wow.
cool.
It was literally the
Interesting.
week before. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Years later, 19 years later, I directed a thing for the gala, which was with him and the Roots. But it was, we're in COVID time. So it's this multi, Zoom kind of a thing, but it was a lot of
Right.
fun. They did the song
That's
Count
cool.
Me In. I
Right.
bet
Oh,
you could
yeah,
probably catch
yeah.
that somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I saw that. Yeah.
a couple of seasons ago, I had John Batiste
Okay.
singing Heroes in Your Neighborhood. Uh,
Right.
Way back in 2007, I had Tina Fey and the Buccaneers. She played
Oh,
this
yeah, yeah.
kind of
Hmm.
pirate character that guided us through reading. And then I had Nicole Kidman years ago with Oscar the Grouch. I had a few bits with her. It was a lot of great. It goes on and on. It's really, you can't really pull one out as a favorite because there's so many favorites. And I have
Right.
to say,
Right.
when the celebs come in, they just they're so easy to work with. They just enjoy being there. Sometimes they bring their kids,
Oh,
and
yeah.
their kids get to play with the Muppets, and they work on set, and then everybody's happy. It's hard to go wrong when you
Absolutely.
get celebs visiting. So
Absolutely. So as you were mentioning that, some of the things that you worked on that kind of stick out. You mentioned a couple segments, and you've gotten to direct a bunch of those, including Elmo's World and Elmo the Musical. What
yes,
what was
Yeah.
what was working on those segments like?
well, whenever you go completely blue screen or green screen, you really have to rely on your pre-visualizations, your storyboarding process,
Yeah,
constantly
uh-huh.
consulting the storyboard. Sometimes, in rehearsal, we can electronically key the characters over the drawings of their environment so that they get a sense of where they are and what that's like. But otherwise, you really have to continually uh, verbally tell your actors, this is what's happening behind you. This is what's happened. This is the environment you're in. So that it's hard for them too because they have to imagine that they're in a space that they're not really seeing. So
Yeah.
uh, that's really the burden of doing a lot of blue screen work and green screen work is you really have to keep everyone aware of what environment you're working in.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, I mean, those segments are so wonderful.
They
Yeah.
are. They are. And God, everything always looks better than you imagine. The animation company we had in Nashville was they supported us all the way, and they did amazing work uh, for months afterwards.
Yeah. Was it
To
a
Yeah,
perfect
right.
everything.
was it a Magnetic Dreams?
Yes,
That
Magnetic
company?
Yeah,
Dreams,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, Ricky Boy was a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ricky Boyd, who
Yeah.
also was a
Yeah.
puppeteer. Years ago, I
Mm-hmm.
was part of
Yep.
Sesame Beginnings. I directed a couple of Sesame Beginnings, which
Right.
really wasn't that successful, but should have been. It was really, it wasn't supported well enough by the educational community because of their concern for putting very young kids in front of the television. Now,
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this concern is less so. But Ricky Boyd played Cookie Monster's grandmother
Right. Yeah.
in
Okay.
those bits,
Oh,
but
oh,
also
yeah, yeah,
a
Yeah,
phenomenal
Ricky's the
animator
best.
and storyboarder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
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 He's
yeah.
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, Ricky's the best. I mean, of course, we can know about his career, and with Animal Jam, got to do Waffle and
Oh,
Cow Monkey, and then other things.
Yes.
He's
Oh
he's
yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He is. He
Yeah,
is.
and going back to those two Elmo segments, of course, working with
Yes.
people like, of course, originally Kevin Clash and, now
Yeah,
Ryan
Yes.
Dillon, who
Kevin's
does a
great.
wonderful
Yeah,
job with
Yes.
that
Ryan. Yeah,
character.
Yes.
yeah, of
Yes.
course.
He
You know,
he channels. I mean, he channels Elmo almost perfectly. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, both very, very talented, incredible puppeteers,
absolutely,
both of them. They're all always trying to make things more real. Always,
Yeah.
anything they can
yeah,
do, and even all the little touches, anything to make it more real. Uh, that was what they were all about.
Yeah, and
Really phenomenal people to work with.
yeah,
absolutely.
and Leslie
They really are.
playing Velvet the Curtain. I thought that was a funny part of Elmo the
Oh my God!
musical too. Yeah.
And in the
Hi, Leslie.
airplane segment,
Yeah,
the
the Penguin.
Yeah,
she was the penguin,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
off the
Right.
wall, off the wall.
She's
Just
a bundle of joy.
she
she
is.
is. Just couldn't stop laughing on that shoot.
Uh,
Her penguin. Oh my God,
yeah,
nuts.
that's awesome. And she's kept performing, I think, yeah, because she got Penelope the Penguin, which I know she talked a bit about when we interviewed her, and
Uh,
that character is so funny.
Yeah.
just crazy. But the
Yeah.
Leslie is, she has range that goes on and on.
Oh
She can.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she's wonderful indeed. I mean, a lot of wonderful
yeah.
names the puppetry field. So now, of course, now what's it like getting to do? I know you kind of mentioned one of them a little bit already, but what's it like, aspect of liking to direct both Super Grover 2.0 and Cookies Crumbie pictures?
Well, both of those were Super Grover. Let me go to that one. That was more challenging. Again, green screen. Lots of green screen, lots of mapping out, especially with Eric.
Oh,
Super Grover
Eric
2.0
Jacobson,
was
yeah,
very, very specific.
it's great.
The things he had to do were very, very specific, and so that was a challenging shoot because Super Grover had to be super, and he had to have capabilities that were beyond normal Grover or a new normal human. So that all had to be mapped out of how we were going to achieve that. And Eric really, he concentrates very, very seriously on, I would say, almost every movement he does. So as a puppeteer, uh, and again, he's very careful to make sure that he's connecting with the audience and that he's 100% believable and
Like
honest
Grover's
in his
Grover,
performance. Yes, exactly. So but the Grover 2.0s were
Oh yeah.
challenging physically because many things had to be done by Super Grover that were involved stunt doubles and throw puppets
yeah,
and
such a
all of that
wacky
stuff.
segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wacky segment. Yeah. Uh, the other Elmo the musical we're comparing it to, or
Supergirl
Okay, it's
2.0 and
Crumbie pictures,
Cookies
yeah.
Crummy Pictures. Yeah.
Crumble. Okay, so those were those were challenging, but uh, not as physically challenging. There was more about each one was a parody of a film
Yeah.
and a feature film, and so the performers were playing Sesame characters, playing other characters. So
Yeah.
a couple of layers there. Wonderful costuming. Jason Weber, phenomenal designer.
Hmm.
Uh, Again, that was all about the environments and the props as well as the performance. So a lot of different angles. That was pretty much turned into a film shoot in the sense that we really had one primary angle, maybe a second angle, maybe not. And again, all green screen, and we had to know what our perspectives were, what our environments were. And the joy of that was they were usually musical. So they usually involved songs if the feature film had music in it. Um, so lots of storyboarding, lots of planning, lots of setups because those pieces were so specific that you couldn't really get very far into a script without stopping, moving the camera, reorienting people, and so
Yeah,
those they took a lot of planning and a lot of shoot time, but well worth it.
Yeah, one
of
Cookies
course.
Crummy Pictures I remember pretty well is the Spy Who Loved Cookies one, the James Bond parody. I thought that one was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Hmm.
yeah, they're a lot of
I
fun.
probably was the AD on a lot of those as well. I directed, they would share the directing. There's a team, so
Right.
we would rotate through. So
Yeah,
I probably
exactly.
got one or two of those cookie crumbles, but I probably was the assistant director on a lot of them too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So now, what also like getting into, uh aspect, getting into both direct and associate directing, for various Sesame home videos and specials. When we already talked about, you directing, usual, episodes and segments. Now, what was that like now with the home videos and specials? Like, can you kind of talk about that
Well,
aspect? Can you do that?
yeah. So directing the special, well, that was now long form. So that specials are kind of like putting three or four Sesame scripts together into one long storyline. Um,
Exactly.
so a lot more of the same kind of planning, but um, and more shooting time, um, and they usually involve celebs. Um, years and years ago, I directed a Sesame Christmas special. I think it was an Elmo's World uh,
Happy holidays.
Christmas special.
Yeah, almost sort of
Yes,
happy
with
holidays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly Ripa.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's a
love that
fun one.
one. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
way back. I think I had 2002. Whoa.
Yeah,
Um,
wow.
but again, so expand what a Sesame episode would be, and I would say expand it maybe three or four times, and that's your storyline kind of threads through something much longer. And so you would need several days to shoot that, 3 or 4 days to shoot that, and those usually happened when the season was complete,
Hmm.
and then they would add days to shoot those, or if there was a dark week, they might shoot those during the dark week. Um, that's usually how that used to work.
Right.
More recently, I think they try to fit it into a dark week. Recently there really haven't been that many specials. It's been kind of a decrease in what's been
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
Yeah.
kind of like more like once in a while than
Hmm.
how back then is
Yeah,
usually happens,
Yeah.
lot more times,
yeah.
but it's just, productions
Because they put
now
out
is
because they
usually
put out a couple
faster.
recently, like Cookie Monsters,
Yeah,
Cookie Monsters Bake Sale and things
Big
like that.
Sale
But
and yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
yeah,
Emo Tango.
the
Oh
animated
yeah.
one, yeah,
Oh, that was
yeah,
animated. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, what was that called? I know what it is, but
yeah,
um, oh yeah, the Nutcracker. That's what it was.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah,
There was one of my favorites from quite a while ago was I think it was called it was based on Peter and the Wolf, but it was I think it was called Elmo's Musical Adventure, Elmo and the Wolf.
yeah,
But
right.
Okay, okay.
a team went up and went up to Boston and shot the Boston Symphony playing the score, and then that score was then used in the shooting. We took 5 days to shoot the puppet version of Peter and the Wolf, and the costuming and everything was done specifically to the music. So when they performed, we had to actually play the music so that they could time their actions and end when they needed to end. and start when they needed to start. So it was tricky. It was very specific, but really a lot of fun to work on.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Absolutely.
A special that comes to mind that you were that I saw you were associate director on, speaking of Christmas, was that Elmo Saves Christmas with
Yes,
Maya Angelou and Charles Durning.
I
yes.
Lo
love that special so much. It was so
Charles
great. I
Durning.
love it.
Yes.
And then
yeah.
Oh my God.
Joey Massimino got to do Lightning, and it was kind of more like a Elmo and Lightning
Yes.
kind of more like
Yes.
Who
Yes.
behind video, which is
speaking
so
of
cool.
wonderful, performers and also writer Joey Mazzarino, he's just the best.
Yes. Yes.
He's wonderful.
He is. He is. I miss him. I miss him. We haven't worked together in a while. Um,
Yeah, I know he's now writing some for PBS now. I know he got to puppeteer briefly again for Don Quixote.
yeah.
I think he's one of the writers on that too, and got to
Now he's
be
on
one of
Carl
the
the
writers for
Collector.
Carl the Collector. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. No,
I think
he's
he
wonderful.
directed a few of those episodes as well. Don
Yeah, yeah,
Quixote.
right.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah, there
yeah.
are a lot of wonderful ones.
Yeah. Something like comes to mind is just like with Alma with the Christmas, another one, Almost Christmas Countdown, and
Yeah.
there's so many like like kids' favorite songs, and
Yes.
and the Elmo Visits
Yes.
the Doctor, and Abby in
Yeah. Those are
Wonderland,
mine.
and
Those are mine. Yeah. Elmo
yeah,
Visit the
uh,
Doctor. That was a
yeah,
biggie at the time.
Oh yeah.
right,
Very. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Elmo Size and Big Bird Gets Lost. That's one of the
Oh yes.
I Got to Live videos,
yeah, the
the
Kids
Yes.
Got to Live
Yes.
alphabet.
So
series.
I was the AD on that one. We shot part of that. That was Emily Squires who directed that. Uh, Big Birds Gets Lost. That was actually shot in a God, was it a like a Kmart or a
Yeah,
it
it
was
must
a
have been,
big box store,
or at
but
least
Like a
a mall
Kmart
or
or like a
something,
JC Penney or one of those. Yeah.
or
yes,
something
yes,
like
yes,
that.
out somewhere in New Jersey.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember where, but I remember meeting there very early on a Saturday morning, and we they gave us a few hours to shoot before the store opened, and it was tricky. Who was that guest star?
Uh,
Frances McDormand.
yes, yeah.
Frances McDormand,
Yeah,
awesome actress.
yeah,
Yes, she was great. It was a lot to get done in a short amount of time in those store
yeah.
shots. But yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine. And actually, exercise related video, Elmo Size, if I didn't mention already, if I did,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. But and Get Up and Dance.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's
I always
one.
remember that.
And then do the alphabet where Big Bird's trying to teach Baby Bear the alphabet
Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
like
exactly.
struggling, and there's like a whole bit with like Baby Bear and Goldilocks in there.
Right.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of
I was an
course,
eight. Here's another one. Sorry, I'm just the Feist video, the video with Feist.
One, two, three, four. That song.
Yes, that. I mean, we spent a good
right.
amount of time shooting that, but that was pretty much done, I think, in two or three shots, and
Wow.
the camera was able to start level and go completely overhead, and then move around, and it's an amazingly choreographed piece because the puppeteers are completely hidden when they need to be, but then
Hmm.
the puppets appear and then they disappear, and the choreography behind it all. And I think the puppeteers at one point had to disappear directly behind Feist in a perfect line. And if you take a look at that video, that's an achievement just in choreography.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Because if
absolutely.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
imagine the bodies that have to operate the puppets, and
Yeah.
how you don't catch them,
Right.
Hmm. Yeah,
it's
Right.
extraordinary. Yeah.
right.
That was
Yeah,
directed
of
by Kevin
course.
Clash, and I was the AD on that. But that was,
Yeah.
I remember
Mhm.
that was a lot of fun, quite challenging.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can imagine. And of course, one more that we of course we shouldn't forget on that one. The street we live on.
Oh
I just
yes,
love
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh good, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
it's
wonderful.
basically where about like where like well it's actually one of those Elmo's World like videos, but it's like basically where like where like a history of Sesame like in Elmo's
Yes.
World and all that, and then
Yes.
like and then Grover was like
Grover like had his
saying
like
to
little
Elmo,
little
yeah,
taxi and like showing him like
yeah,
Sesame
the
Street
whole
before
Yes.
he was
history,
born. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and then all
Yeah.
of them saying the "Should We Live On" song, which that was
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
great moment.
I love those
Yeah.
scenes. I love those scenes when everyone
Yeah, all of
gathers
them
and
exactly. I love that.
in song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those big group numbers are always the best. And of course, Lou Berger, who
Yeah.
was the head writer at the time, wrote that
Yeah,
one. It's
Lou.
wonderful.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
They're all great.
A
So,
lot of a lot a lot of a lot a lot of talent. A
oh
lot of talent.
yes.
That's
Exactly.
and
Yeah, a lot indeed. So now, in addition to those, what was it like getting to work on the outreach projects with Sesame? Because they've done a lot of wonderful, wonderful work with, the outreach stuff.
yes. Yes. And as good as the Sesame shows make you feel when you're done working on them, the outreach you can double that just because you're heading for a really specific need. You're really trying to, if it's military families or children of incarcerated folks
Mm-hmm.
or folks who are challenged in terms of food or those issues. Just so those scripts are prepared with, if you can imagine, even more preparation,
Right.
and a lot of care and monitoring on the set. Excuse me. Um, to make sure that the message is really getting performed and getting recorded. So uh, those, they usually have a smaller budget, but in terms of their importance, they may, I would say, maybe even more important, than a lot of the other Sesame work. Just you can feel everyone feels the weight of what they're trying to deliver, and I
Yeah.
enjoy the collaboration and the planning on that as well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
like to have more opportunities, like if Sesame, you let Sesame, just have these type of videos, to that's of course, the times kids have to can understand, but the way how they do it is like such
Yeah.
like like a safe way. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Well, that is really the reason for doing it. It's allowing. It's a safe way to talk about these things and to reach hopefully the people that need it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
And because like in the past, we've spoken to people like Leslie and Carmen who, did like
Yeah.
most of those. Yeah, they talk a lot about
Yes.
like
Mhm.
the whole research team and just how much research went into it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and really on set, uh, the dialogue between all of us and the producers uh, about the messaging is it goes. I mean, the actors are so involved with the messaging, and they really, everyone talks about all of the underlying messages and the reason for doing something a certain way, or the reason for the reason a scene is constructed a certain way. It's all open for discussion, and everyone participates in that discussion so that we all
Yeah.
get to the same place. So that's really enjoyable to have that kind of collaboration.
Definitely.
Absolutely. To get those opportunities for Sesame to do that, it's always
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now this is gonna be it kind of in a way it dive in that, if that makes any sense at all. But what the people who's gonna watch and listen, you'll know why I'm saying that way. But anyway, so of course you got to directing the Sesame Planetarium show, One World, One Sky, Big Bird's Adventure. Now I
Yes,
know it was kind of like new to do something like that. But
yes,
like what was the whole like just especially for doing that stuff, it was whole different
yes,
Yeah.
aspect, especially where that is, it gets to happy beyond being for schools and all that, so what was the whole
yes.
thing like,
Okay, so this is the One World, One Sky was a result of probably potentially 8 or 10 years of preparation. So way
Really?
back, yeah. So the head mathematician on Square One TV, Joel, had this is something he had wanted to do. Put a sky show in the planetarium, in a series of planetariums, so that kids at a very basic level could be introduced to astrophysics, I'm going to say, and astronomy, and so that they look beyond things on Earth, but up into the sky, and how how everything relates. So this had been planned and never had the funding.
Hmm.
And then the planetarium in Beijing, China, was interested in it was going to be an international co-production.
Oh
And for
wow.
years and years and years, it never got funded. So uh, it finally got funded years after the fact. Joel had since passed away, and but I was asked to come on board and help plan it, because this is going to be beyond anything that we had ever shot. It had to go into a dome projection,
Yep, exactly.
and
Yep.
so at 360 degrees on the horizon line.
Yep.
um, and the animation at the time, I think, was 4K, which was way beyond what anyone was doing. We were just
Yeah.
graduating to
Hmm.
HD, and
It's
4K
kind
is
of new
roughly
thing.
four
Yeah.
times the resolution. So we had months of meetings. I'm going to say 18 months from the beginning of planning to the end. The co-producers were the Adler Planetarium in Chicago and the Beijing Planetarium in Beijing, China. And I actually, it brought me there. I went there with the technical director and the lead producer. I was in Beijing for 8 days to meet with them to discuss everything. And then we came back and we shot, once the scripts were approved, we shot the puppets uh, in, I can't remember if it was HD or it was something probably higher than
Might have been.
HD.
Okay.
But we had to map out. So the puppets had to travel completely around the dome, and
Right.
we had to calculate. So they did everything in place because our frame was only 16:9 ratio. It was only a small fragment of where they had to end up. So we mapped it out so they would start and finish and do a complete walk around. But we estimated how many steps it would take, and they did their walking in place.
Wow.
And then we sort of calculated
Yeah, okay.
where their dialogue needed to hit when they referred to certain things. For example, the animators in China created a replica of the Sesame set, and we had to expand it to add areas that didn't exist. And then they took us on a tour, but then the Sky Show happened above the set. And
Hmm.
then so the animators then eventually zoomed past our set and then concentrated on the Sky Show. But then we had to map in the characters into that Sky Show. And then so it was a lot of shooting. It was probably another 5 days of shooting. The hardest being with the travel around portion, and then we shot smaller segments where little windows would open up next to whatever star or constellation we were illustrating,
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
and those were just little moments that we shot with them, and worked out screen direction and lots of storyboarding. That was a mind bender, that one. But hey, got to go to Beijing for 8 days, and
That's
it was just
crazy. Wow.
before there. I think it was the 2008 Olympics that were coming up, and it was just before then.
Oh,
I got to walk the Great Wall of China. You know, it was
wow.
uh, it was
Wow.
an amazing trip, but the whole process was amazing and took 18 months from beginning to end, in between all the
Wow.
other things that we were working on. And then we spent a lot of time in Chicago. We probably went there for a few days every 2 weeks, working with their animators, and then looking at. We had this mini dome we could go into just to look at test versions of what we were working on and make
Hmm.
corrections, and
Yeah.
uh, but the computing power that was involved, we were pushing the limits of what was available.
Hmm.
And so, we look at it and say, this needs to really move 10 degrees over here. This is a better angle for this. And, the astronomers had to make sure that the relationship between the celestial objects was all correct. Everything was very, very painstaking. But every time we make a change after looking at one of these demos, they would need a week of computing power to re-render, to make the adjustment and re-render. And sometimes the computer would crash. And actually, they had several computers linked together, but sometimes they'd start a rendering process, and 2 days into it, they see that it crashed, and they'd have to start it over again. And you know,
Oh
we
gosh.
were pushing the limits there. Yeah,
Wow.
and that show still plays at Adler.
Oh
Every
really?
morning
Wow.
at 10 a.m. If you're ever in Chicago, One World, One
Really?
Sky, yeah, plays at 10 a.m. It's really for the youngest kids, uh, kindergarten kids, a little bit older maybe, but yeah, plays once a day at 10 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And now, of
Nice.
course, the
That's pretty cool.
technology is outdated, so what we did looks dim and it doesn't look as sharp and all of that. That's because they're into now 8K projections with the dome. So, but they still play it for the young kids. And I think I have to check. Liberty Science Center in Jersey City has a mini dome.
Hmm.
I think it used to play there too.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
I'm looking at a website right now. I think it might still be playing in like DC or somewhere.
yeah, it's not widespread because, as we learned, there's a competition between planetariums in this
Hmm.
country. So, for
Yeah.
example, you won't see it in New York
Oh, okay.
because they're direct competitors with Adler in Chicago. So
Oh, gotcha.
I'm like, really? So, but
Here's
I
what it
think
is, you know.
The Jersey City, the Science Center, Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, I know they had it, they were playing it there, and I don't know if it's still playing, but they don't have the grand full size dome, but it's a mini dome. And I think
Okay.
you could still
Okay.
put 30 people in that dome and
Okay.
watch the show, but they used to play it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So now, okay, this is kind of crazy for me to say this when we're talking about this now. Now, that time when that actually happened, where there's just a time where like that can like play like one time, like look like elementary schools and all that to kind of
Yeah.
go all around, that stuff, right? Now,
Yes.
now this is kind of crazy. Now, when I was still in elementary school, gosh, those days, I think it was like third or fourth grade or something like that. But I actually
Yeah.
did get a chance to actually see it.
Oh, you did. They did
yes, I
tour it.
did.
But I think there was some sort of portable dome that they had to use.
Yeah.
Right,
Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
and I don't know how many kids could fit in there, but yeah, they did tour it. It toured the country. I think schools had to request it or set
Or
up the
something like
visit.
that.
Yes, yeah,
Or
yeah,
something like that. I don't know. But
yeah,
either
yeah.
way, I remember it was like, I mean, I think the students I've had was like around like almost 10. It's been a while, it's been a long time, but like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, but anyway, like I remember
I'm
like
going to say it's
just
probably
going
15 years
inside.
ago. Probably
Yeah,
15 years
probably.
Yeah.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember seeing it too. It was I saw it at the Museum of Science in Boston.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess both of us got
Now,
wow.
was that a
Yeah.
portable dome or was that in their permanent dome? I'm just curious.
Well,
Uh
for me, I think it's probably well, it's the very touch base on it was most likely just portable
Portable
dome.
dome.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like fewest people would be there and
I
all
think they
that.
had
But
their
Right.
I think they had their own thing. I think Museum of Science had their own kind of thing. I don't think
I
it
mean, it
was a
makes more
portable dome.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
but
I think it had to be compatible with whatever projection systems that they
Yeah, their
had,
technology, yeah.
because I think it took something like 16 projectors to properly map the dome.
Wow.
And
yeah,
so the playback had to be very specific to that.
yeah.
Huh,
I mean,
interesting.
well, but anyway, quickly saying before going moving on to other things, but like like I remember like when it was like just watching it, and then like when it was Big Bird and Elmo, and then one of the character that was there that Tyler Bunch got to do. Like I
Boo hoo
remember
shoo. Boo
like
hoo shoo.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, okay,
Yes.
right. And like I remember like just me just watching them what they're talking at space and all that, and then like I can pick like I can imagine what I remembered them just like talking to just talk learning about this like to us, and I'm just and me
Yeah.
little me I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember it was
Yeah.
such a magical moment for me growing up
Oh, great.
seeing.
I'm glad you enjoyed. That's what we were going for, but thank you for saying that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the idea, is that, they're speaking directly to you, and they're your guide through this. I also I'm proud of that work, but the score, the music we
yeah,
did an orchestral version of a lot of Sesame melodies that blended together, and I thought it was magical.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because I remember like me trying to search it up. Like I remember that during I was just trying to search it up on YouTube. I was trying to what was it called for like I don't know maybe so many years, and then
Yeah,
seeing that it was like oh my gosh, is that it? And so and as it is, and I was like I was so close to cry. Like it was like I remember that still finally, and just it was such
Yeah.
it was a great day for me in that
Yeah.
time.
oh good.
Yeah, and of course the wonderful good friend of ours, Annie Evans, got to write that too.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
love
yes,
Annie.
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
wonderful.
She's great. So, well,
Yeah, it's such a great thing to do.
yeah.
Sesame.
Yeah, that was amazing. This is off topic a little bit, but I ended up going back to Adler and directing a second one. Did not involve Sesame characters. So
Oh,
that
interesting.
show is still playing. It's called
Gotcha.
Destination Solar System, and we use a
Okay.
live actor in the inside the dome, and a computer voice, and it's a journey through the solar system essentially. But that led to a second show that I directed there. So both of those shows are still playing.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
Wonderful.
what was it like directing the Swingin' Sesame Street celebration
Ah,
concert at Lincoln
yeah.
Center?
I was in awe. I mean, that orchestra, those guys and ladies, phenomenal talent. Wynton Marsalis is their musical director, and he's a phenomenal talent. They're so. It was a good relationship between Sesame and them, and honestly, it's very funny. They're in Manhattan. Their workspaces are across the street from each other. Really, they're just across Broadway from each other. But um, the Jazz at Lincoln Center organization is very connected with their community, and they spend a lot of time offering free musical classes for young classes to visit and learn about the instrumentation and the music. And they spend a lot of time, a lot of their own personal time with the kids. But for us, the rehearsal time was just so much fun with that group, and working out the different beats and the way that was written. Andrew Moriarty wrote the script. A really nice job on it.
Right.
He basically made sure that he paired off different solo artists with different Muppet characters so they could have a conversation before they showed off their skills on their instruments. And that was a really lovely touch. But something I really loved that that Wynton did was, for each song that we were going to perform with them, he gave the job of the musical arrangement for that song to individual members of his orchestra. So he wasn't just doing it as music director. There were different individuals he would give a song to and say, you do this arrangement, you do this arrangement. So they all went off and they all contributed in that way. And in the broadcast, you'll see, that they're acknowledged at the end. That was so-and-so's arrangement. That was so-and-so's arrangement. And it's funny. One of the trumpeters, Kenny Rampton, for a long time, Sesame, when Sesame was shooting 100 and something shows a year, we had what was called the Sesame Street Band. So whenever music got recorded
exactly.
in a music studio, there was a 5 musicians that would represent the Sesame Street Band, and Kenny Rampton was one of them. So he had a connection as well. That was amazing. The rehearsal process was phenomenal. It was 3 nights of performances in front of a live audience. We did the best we could with the cameras. I couldn't really put the cameras exactly where I wanted to because of the way the house was constructed and the fact that they pretty much were sold out every night. So I couldn't kill seats and say, put a camera here. Those seats were sold. So we had like 3 robotic cameras and 2 manned cameras. And, the coverage was pretty good. But the show itself musically was magic. And if you listen, if you listen, I'm trying to think if there's I don't know if it's on Apple Music or one of the audio services, I think you actually get to hear. They have an amazing audio department there. Very, very well equipped. Their mixers are phenomenal. There is a difference when you watch the video. That's one thing. The music is accurate and good, but if you get a chance to listen to it on, I think it's Apple Music or I can't remember which service has it, Spotify, I'm not sure, but you'll really hear the full mix, and it's really rich, and you can hear a lot more individual instruments playing in that mix.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful concert. And I know that like there are puppeteers that we got to chat previously, like already with Ryan, for example. Like I remember when we talk about like or even like any of them like just mentioning that itself. I remember they said like they absolutely love doing these type of appearances, and they would love to do more of that.
Yes,
which honestly they should. They should do more of that.
They should. They should. One of the challenges was I was concerned about the puppeteers being exposed, in front of the audience, which they were.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had to be. There was no way for them to have the movement that they did, and for them to make entrances and exits off that stage without being seen. But they had that for the live audience, but for the video, you don't want to show them. So we ended up working out a way where you'd only see them come out in a super wide shot, and you really didn't get to pay much attention to their bodies below the puppets before we cut in tight and were able to mask them, with the frame. But one of the big concerns was the musicians were so good that the cast really wanted to sing their best and be on key and be in good voice. And that was a little nerve-wracking for them, because being on those rollies and, with your hand up here, that's not your ideal singing position. So we tried to make sure that they made their entrance and landed, so at least they could put themselves in their best position to sing. None of them got to really stand and sing, which would have been ideal, but I thought they did quite a good job. And it was really a wonderful experience. Another wonderful experience. I've really been blessed.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And like for as a live audience, like picture if I was like that, even see what the puppeteers are doing. They believe that they're them. They're puppeteers. They're just doing their job. That's it.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, the audience, doesn't pay attention to the puppeteer. It's the character
exactly.
they're looking at.
Yeah.
And but God, the puppeteers love that interaction. They love that interaction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I guess see if they actually do like it or not. Like, because audience there. Because sometimes in this, like, actually doing like this for the show, that they don't really. Of course, they don't get it because just it's just cast and crew and all that. But like when you get to hear like a response right away, it's just such a good feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a scene that did not make the video version, but it involved Grover switching seats from being way up in the balcony and then suddenly down in the main orchestra level moments later.
Oh my God.
So we used two Grovers, and Eric threw his voice, and that got cut out because it really didn't involve a song. So
Gotcha.
they cut that out,
Right,
but that was part of the fun of that night too.
That's awesome.
Good. That's wonderful. Speaking of Elmo, wise they already did a lot already, but like now I'm also liking to direct a Not Too Late show with Elmo because from it's kind of like a whole like another kind of a different aspect for you because it was a kind of Sesame doing a talk show that like Elmo's so what was like whole thing like into direct like a talk show thing for Sesame?
Yeah, that was fun, but it gave us an opportunity and a vehicle to bring on lots of celebrity guests. It's actually probably easier to shoot than most scenes, at least the talk show part.
Right.
When we did the challenge, that was harder. There was a game challenge that they had to come off the stage and do something physical. That was, excuse me, trickier, but the actual basic elements of that is easier to shoot. To have Elmo anchored behind a desk and the guest he's chatting with anchored to a chair. Their first entrance, they come out and they do what they do. So, if there's a musical guest, they'll perform. But again, you're on a stage, so everything is kind of defined based on the space. So it was easier to shoot, and it gave us an opportunity to bring guests on. I directed an episode with Seth Meyers, and then he came out and did an obstacle course with Big Bird. Um, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I had the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
so
was fun.
cool.
Yeah, and then
I remember that one.
Elmo's questions are not going to be deep thinking questions, so
Yeah, because
it's
he's
a
only
it,
three and a
Right.
half.
three and a half. So
Yeah, and plus, if people watching it would be like almost like introduced to what the Jonas Brothers is, that
yeah,
type of thing.
exactly. Right,
What a
right,
kid can understand.
right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we were able to do I think two or three a day of those. So it was good. It was a good format to especially for that was on Max, HBO Max. Um,
Right. Yeah.
I think it was a good way to
Yeah,
expand Sesame's reach, into the evening.
There you
yeah,
go.
It
yeah,
always involved
exactly.
bedtime.
Right.
The
Yeah.
show always involved bedtime at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. Yeah, right. So now we're also like getting to now transition to the other series that you got to associate direct or just directing itself. Now, what was
Yeah.
both Allegra's Window and the Wubbulous World of Dr. Seuss like for you? Like, what was your experience doing those shows?
Oh, Allegra. Okay, so the connection with Allegra's window was from Square One TV.
Hmm.
Um, Jim Jenkins was the designer on Square One TV,
Jim,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
He's.
and
one
he
of
was the creator
he's
of
the
Allegra's
best.
window,
Hmm.
and
Yep, and Doug and
Jan Fleming.
J. Otter, and
Yeah.
he's wonderful.
Yeah,
He's done a lot of great things.
yes, and then so that was the producing connection, and then I had worked with Emily Squires at Sesame Street, and she was brought on to direct Allegra's Window. So, and that was shot in Orlando.
Hmm.
So we all went down to Florida for that.
In the
Um,
Nickelodeon Studios. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yes, back in the day when they were gung ho about producing things there, we shot in these giant metal buildings that really weren't well insulated. So if there was a thunderstorm with heavy rain, we had to stop shooting because
Oh no.
you could hear the rain on the metal ceiling,
Right.
and they couldn't keep it out of the dialogue tracks
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
without us having to revoice everything.
Oh gosh.
So we, every so often there'll be a big rainstorm. We just have to stop and relax.
Right.
um, but Marty Robinson was a big part of that.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I know you enjoy doing
he
that and
might have
yeah,
designed some of the puppets. I'm trying to remember if he designed puppets for that.
I think he did. I think. Yeah. I think he might have. Yeah.
And he played
yeah.
it was Riff the cat and Clef
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dad.
I remember
He
he
played
enjoyed I remember
those.
he told us that he enjoyed doing that character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I think Tim was on
Yeah.
it
Tim
and
Legassi was
Kathy
on there.
Tim
Catherine.
Mullen, I
LaGlass.
think.
Yeah, Tim LaGlass. Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of wonderful
Um
people on that.
Pam and
Pam,
Yeah.
Pam.
yep. Yeah. Yeah. What was Wubbulous like? And getting
Well,
me
I
involved in
didn't.
the Dr.
I
Seuss
worked only a
world in a
little bit on
way.
that. That was shot in the basement of the Henson brownstone in the East 60th Street, I think it is, in Manhattan.
Hmm.
It was shot in a very small space, a lot of green screen, blue screen. Uh, Emily directed a lot of those too. I AD'd some of those, not many.
Right, it's kind of like a side thing, but so you can
Yeah,
direct some of
yeah,
it. Yeah, that type of thing.
yeah. So I didn't get too deep into that one because I didn't spend a lot of time there. They pretty much a lot of the positions were already locked up, so I didn't get much of a chance to work there.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
have kind of a foggy memory of that.
Right. No worries.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, wonderful shows. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what was working on Out of the Box like?
Okay, so that was out at Kaufman in Queens, and
hmm
it was a nice show to work on. I think the what I
yeah, Yeah, me
I
too.
remember, so a big child cast. So
Hmm.
you had to keep child hours for that age group. So you had one group of kids you could work with for 4 hours, not a moment more than 4 hours in the morning, and then you had a group in the afternoon. Again, 4 hours, and that was it. So I remember, trying to squeeze all the things that had to be shot into those time frames, and it was a bit of a it was tricky to really shoot the scripts the way you wanted to and fit them into that amount of time, because
Right.
you also have to allow for a lot of retakes. Uh, we had a really good child talent coach who would really drill them on their lines and make sure that they knew their cues, but invariably, uh, they would go off script sometimes, and so it wasn't like clockwork. You had to allow time to breathe. So there was always the balance between trying to get what you needed from the shooting of the script and the schedule. There's always that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
tension.
right. Yeah, the whole like scheduling thing when the kids are going to
Yeah.
be available for doing those
Hmm.
shoots and while they have school and all that stuff. But yeah, 'cause it was pretty interesting for you to be involved in that because that show has that like one of those shows where some adults and some kids and you can just making stuff together, and I think that show was
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tony and Vivian, they did wonderful in that show.
Yeah.
And got to
Yeah.
recently speak and one of the kids, Dan. I
Dane.
think he
Yeah,
might. Dan, yeah, yeah, he's awesome.
absolutely.
One of the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he like he's like 50 years old now?
No, I think it's mostly now. I mean, I know he's now like doing like some theater stuff, I think, but also like a Twitch streamer, if I remembered, but
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. But anyway, but
Okay.
he's great. So now what was it like, for get to associate directing a musical guest on Live by Request?
Okay. That series went on for off and on, I think I'm going to say about 7 years. That was phenomenal. What I did on that show was I would each artist that came on, they had to be an established musical artist. They had to have a library, a sizable body of work. So uh, from their library, they would make available roughly 30 songs to be performed on the show, and they would rehearse those songs. And I would basically map out those songs and learn those songs so that I could cue the camera crew and the director as to what was happening musically
Hmm.
Right.
with those songs. So that was my prep. And then when it came time to do the show, it was a 2 hour show with commercial breaks. So out of the 30 songs, we knew they could only perform, let's say, 16, 17, or 18 songs. That's all that would fit in that time period. So um, basically, the show was about people calling in and requesting a song from that artist. And so, we would listen to the request, and then I would quickly pull out my notes on that song and then start, describing what was going to happen. So musically. So, and the way I do it is in terms of beats and bar counts. So, I would say lead vocal coming up in 5 bars, 4 bars, 3 bars, 2 bars, and then we'd count the beats. We get down to 2 bars, and then I go in 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the person would start singing. So the cameras could line themselves up and plan like moves. If they go from a wide shot of the band, they can move into the lead singer and time it so that it would land just at the right spot. So I did a lot of that kind of work so that the camera guys and the director he could cut the shots. The camera guys could plan their moves. I would count into drum solos or guitar solos or um, duets, group vocals, that kind of thing. So I would map out a lot of different musical things that would happen within
Gotcha.
a song and have those all ready. And I'd have everything sort of sitting next to me. And, whenever we listen to the caller and they say, I would like to hear song C, and then there was a host of the show. He said, then he would have a little chat about the song with the artist, and the artist might give a little backstory as to why that or how that song was written. And meanwhile, we're getting ready to, I'm getting ready. I pull out that script and get ready to start cueing that song. So I love those because we got some great artists. I think I did 15 or 16 of those
Wow. Nice.
shows. It was awesome over like
Nice.
a 7-year period. We used to do one every 2 months, and then we could only do one every 3 months. Things started to decrease, and then it became a special, once or twice a year, and then there was no more funding for that kind of thing anymore. So, but in its heyday, what a great show to work on.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
what's it like associate directing the Tony Awards and the Oscars?
Okay, so the Tonys, I've done that for 13 years. That is, for me, it's probably the hardest show I work on all year because there are, in a 3-hour period, there's probably 18 musical numbers. And every one of those is, we script it, the director and I script the shots, which means the director will map out exactly what shot he wants when, and then we number them and we give out shot lists to each camera, and I will prompt those shots, get those shots ready, count them in. The director will call the cut point. The technical director will punch the shot. So we script a lot of that. So there's a lot of scripting involved, and it's very challenging because every musical number has a different setup. So cameras have to move around, and the stage has to be reset continually because you're basically showcasing a lot of the shows, the leading shows
Hmm.
that are up for nomination, and then in between all of that, you are covering the nominees. So you are have to get cameras out to the seats of the nominees so that we can cover those nominees, and then cover the acceptance speech and all of that kind of stuff. So it's and a lot of this, our whole rehearsal period is like 5 days. So we have to get a lot done. And the Broadway shows, they continue. They don't go dark. So you get these casts for a certain amount of time, and then they have to leave to go do their show. And you
Right.
can't work with them on Wednesdays because usually they're doing a matinee and then an evening performance. So there's no time to get them over to your theater to rehearse. So we usually have 2 very long rehearsal days on Thursday and Friday where we stack all the performances up. We rehearse all the host material usually on the Wednesday, and then Saturday we don't have the cast because they are doing 2 shows on Saturday usually in their home theater. So that's the time for the director and I to to go through the whole show top to bottom and map everything out. So it's a very intense week. It's a 3-week project for me because we spend the first week visiting each theater and watching what performances each cast is going to do, and we start mapping that out. And then there's more prep involved the second week, and then the third week is rehearsal week, and then it all ends on the Sunday, where the casts, they do a dress rehearsal with us in the morning. Then they go back and do their matinee in their home theater on Sunday afternoon. And then they come back for the live show, for our live show. So it's a pretty intense project. So that is, I think, the hardest thing I work on. The Oscars, that is hard because of the length of that show and all of the elements that are involved. It doesn't have as many performances. It's more about the glamour and the screens and all of that. But the challenge with that is between Friday night and Sunday showtime, we end up doing the show 3 times in 2 days, and it's a very long show. It's usually 3.5 hours, and there's no time to get the notes from the director and the producer and make changes in order to be ready for the next time that we rehearse it. It's a very tight turnaround. So, it's challenging in that respect. I'm sorry to say I'm not involved with that one anymore because our team has lost the project to another producing team. So I did it for 8 years,
Gotcha.
loved it. It was great to be part of it. I hope everyone's doing well out there. These are crazy times for Southern California, and it's frightening. It's frightening.
Oh
what's
yeah,
happening.
it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it'll be better over there, always, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, God, they need a little change of weather. They need everything's so
Yeah.
dry, and
Yeah.
now there's so many people displaced. It's I pray that things turn around soon,
Us as well.
because it
us
takes
as
more
well.
than
Yeah,
human
exactly.
effort, I think, to change this. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, what was like your involvement of both Capitol Fourth and Dick Clarkson Year's Walking Eve like? What was like
Okay.
being involved in such a big, events like
Yeah.
that?
So Capitol Fourth is. I'm trying to remember how I first ended up with that, but I was introduced, again, people that you cross paths with. They recommend you to other people, and there was an opening on Capitol Fourth, and I came on board. I think I've done that 10 or 12 years now. That's magnificent because you're right there on the lawn of the Capitol. The setting is magnificent. It's outdoors. It is a covered stage, but it's like an amphitheater. So bad weather can still really affect everything. And that's a PBS show, so no commercial breaks. Once that show starts, it goes like a train, until you fade to black at the end. It's just one thing after another after another. We have 3 stages, and we have to keep going, and we go from one stage to the next to the next.
Right.
And then the fireworks
That's
start.
crazy.
Yeah. And the thing with the weather is in the DC area at that time, a thunderstorm can pop up, a lightning storm can pop up at any moment. There's so much humidity, and so it can be a very dangerous situation where and the Capitol Police and the National Park Service are involved, because that part of it is part of a national park, and they make the call if there's lightning in the area or thunder, and their radar tells them it's within 2 or 3 miles, they need to physically have the grounds evacuated. So the show, we have this whole system where we have to, if there's bad weather and they shut it down, we have to go to our backup tape. So we record our dress rehearsal the night before, and hopefully we have a good dress rehearsal with no bad weather the night before. But we may bring our host out and jump over to that recording while the bad weather happens live, and then try to get back to the live
Right.
show if the weather clears. It's tricky, but the show is chock full, lots of performers. As I said, we jump around from stage to stage until the fireworks begin. When the fireworks begin, then it's the orchestra playing, and
Yeah.
our cameras are up
Mhm.
in the air.
Yeah.
So it's exciting for many reasons, and some of them are perilous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
that's
Dick Clark
wonderful.
thing, I've had the Dick Clark thing. I've had the good fortune to direct live segments for the Dick Clark thing. Dick Clark Rockin' New Year's Rockin' Eve, excuse me. But it started out where I did a song right near midnight with I would be out at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and I did a song with Billy Joel. One year I
Oh,
did a song with
wow.
Elton John. One year I did Jimmy
Easy.
Buffett.
Ah,
um,
rest is
Oh,
yeah,
we're
but then
so,
that
yeah.
became it became a series of segments. Instead of a concert, it became um, the Powerball First Millionaire of the Year, and then we would do 4 or 5 segments where we'd interview the 5 finalists, and then Ryan Seacrest would come over and to our hotel ballroom where we did this, and we would draw a winning ball representing one of these 5 finalists, and then they would win $1 million. These were contestants that they got from all over the country that
Right.
submitted their losing tickets in the lottery, and they were randomly selected. So that was fun. They had they cut that back this year, so did not happen this year, unfortunately. But I think this is the first time
Yeah.
in about 9 years where I did not work on New Year's Eve.
no interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
See what happened then. You're gonna be working on it
Right.
yeah,
again if it's a good weather, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Always looking forward seeing that, you know,
Yeah.
every
absolutely.
New Year's Eve, you know.
So, what was it like associate directing the SpongeBob musical live on stage?
Okay, so that was shot in Plymouth, England.
Oh, wow.
So the show was closing on Broadway, and it was closing not because it wasn't successful, but because the theater had scheduled renovations,
Hmm.
and the renovations had to be started by a certain date, so the show had to close and move out. Um, and so Nickelodeon, in conjunction with an anniversary that they had coming up of SpongeBob the animation, wanted to shoot the show and put it on the air as part of their celebration. So
Right.
originally they searched the U.S. for a regional theater where they could move everybody and remount the production. But that show, if you had gotten to see it, is very complicated in terms of staging and props and sound effects and mechanized objects that fly in and out. Um, so they felt there was a theater in England that was kind of set up to shoot productions from the West End in London. So they made the decision for us to rehearse here. We rehearsed here at stages in Queens, actually, in rehearsal halls, and then they had to bring the cast back together for this rehearsal, and then everyone flew to Plymouth, England, to shoot the show. And we spent,
Oh,
I think we spent a week or 5 days there shooting the show
Hmm.
in front of an audience as well. So it was
right.
fun. I mean, Plymouth was very gray and rainy. It was in the November, um, but the theater was nice there, and we got it done. We had to shoot the show in parts, but the audience didn't care. They had a good time.
Right. Yeah.
Great cast, great
Oh yeah.
cast.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, of
The
course.
guy who plays SpongeBob is if you've seen Wicked, the film, the
Hmm.
musical now,
Right.
Right.
he plays he
Hmm.
plays Bach.
Oh yeah. Right.
Okay.
Hmm. There you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
That's
So,
that's pretty
yeah, it
cool.
was interesting going to England to shoot that and working with a British crew. I worked with the director who I was working with for the Oscars and the Tonys. So, American director, we had worked well with each other. So he asked me to go with him, and it was fun. Again, another adventure.
There you go.
Absolutely. That's great. So before we're actually gonna start talk about what you're working on now of sorts. Now, because we already talked about, your career with, your involvement in being, a lot of things, with of course with both, directing and associate directing. Now,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Now, like, can you kind of like talk about the main differences between both directing and associate directing? If that
Well,
makes any sense?
okay. So one, you are really making all of your prep and all your communication is about. If you're an associate director, you are carrying out a director's plan, and you want to make sure the crew understands the plan, and the cues that you give are all support that. And the important thing to remember there is, um, sometimes you have to solve problems in your own way to make sure that happens. But um, since you are not the director, you have to make sure that if any issue comes up uh, that needs the director's input, that you make sure you circle back and and
Right.
and involve the director so that they can make a decision on it. You can't make a decision for the director.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are the director, then there's a lot of planning involved, and then you want to make sure that you're communicating very clearly with your team to make sure that they
Yeah.
understand what you want to happens,
Right.
and you want to anticipate as many potential problem situations as you can. But you want to keep the enthusiasm going. It's a difference between being the source of the vision and sort of the caretaker of the vision. So uh, essentially the work is similar, but um, is more creative thinking if you're the source of the vision, and whatever steps you can take to make sure that you are communicating clearly always helps.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so now, since we're getting close to wrapping up, can you share anything that you're currently working on?
I just did some work as an associate director on a new comedy series involving Tracy Morgan. It's called Crutch, and it's going to stream on Paramount Plus sometime in April, I believe.
Hmm.
Okay.
Uh, it's kind of an urban New York based sitcom. Very very interesting, very funny at times. We shot 8 episodes recently in the fall, and they're editing now, and I don't know if they're going to release it one at a time or all at once, but I just finished work on that just before the holidays, and then intermittently there are some outreach Sesame outreach projects I've been working on. So
Mhm.
that's what's been happening now, and we are awaiting news from Sesame. They're looking, for a new underwriter or more support because I think HBO Max
Right.
contract has ended.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens, with that,
Yeah.
yeah,
I hope it's all
Definitely a long run
just and
with HBO, like 9 years or something like that. Yeah.
most
yeah,
likely,
no,
yeah, but
it
Yeah.
was good. It was
but
good. I mean, they're still they still want to air episodes for the next couple of years, but
Mhm.
they don't. They're not providing any funding to produce new episodes. So
Right. Yeah.
uh, and
mhm.
PBS airs already existing episodes, so PBS is not providing funding either. So it's they're searching for a new home, I guess you'd say.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hope the best, for you and the
Yeah,
rest of
thanks.
course, and yeah, of
Yeah,
course, and as well as looking forward with more projects down the line, especially if that's gonna be coming out in April. So
yeah,
looking forward
yeah,
more
yeah.
Yeah.
more what's coming up.
Yeah. So this last question that Jake is about to ask is a question we ask all of our guests at the end. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. So, of course, podcast called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. When you think of nostalgia, what do you think of? In your own terms, how would you define the word nostalgia?
All right. Well, nostalgia for me is pretty much any memory that evokes kind of a happy, warm and fuzzy feeling, and I would say a lot of our conversation has because I'm very fond of all of these
Right.
moments I've described, and I've been very fortunate to that, you know, I enjoy what I'm doing, and you know, there's two sayings that my coworkers and I usually share, and at the end of a day, we might turn to each other and say, "Well, this beats working for a living," or we'll
Yeah.
say something like, "Fooled them again. People think we're working in here. We're just having fun." So, uh, the nostalgia is to me any recollection or description of a past moment in your life that really brings that warm feeling. So
Absolutely. Great
there it
words to
Of
end
is.
course,
on.
that's lovely. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah,
This is a blast. This is a lot of fun.
great.
Yeah.
Nice
Yes.
chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you as
Yes, you
well.
too,
This
Ken.
is
Thank you so
great.
much
Again,
again.
thank you for Marty Robinson for kind of
Oh
helping
yeah,
connect us. And
Thank you, Maria. You're the best, as always.
yes, well, enjoy the rest of your day,
yes.
Ken. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks. You too.
Of course,
Bye.
you too. Thanks again,
Stay warm.
Ken.
You as well.
Okay.
Yes, you too.
Ciao.
Glad to make this happen. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And it's goodbye from us as well. We absolutely enjoyed our time speaking with the wonderful Ken Diego. Keep on the lookout for more wonderful interviews coming your way. And as always, what do we say, Jake?
Keep nostalgia alive. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode. Be sure to follow Jake and the Happy Nostalgia team on social media, check out our website, and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And as always, remember to keep nostalgia alive. Bye-bye.